What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Wow, so today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 49, episode 10. We are in the home stretch now. So, my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and we hope that if you guys were in the US, you all had a happy Thanksgiving in between the episode and now.
Yeah, hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving with their friends and family and maybe you watched it with your friends and family on Wednesday night in honor of Thursday Thanksgiving.
Or
But
maybe
I
you were too busy to watch it because of Thanksgiving, which is also fine.
That's also true. But unfortunately, that this week's episode landed on Thanksgiving because I thought this was not that fun of an episode. I honestly thought it was a little bit boring. Last week's episode would have been good to watch with the family, but I feel like for me watching this week's episode, I was like, okay, nothing really mattered until after the immunity challenge. It was just a lot of talking pre-immunity, which like you could say every week that nothing matters until after the immunity, but it just really felt like this week nothing mattered until you knew who won that challenge.
Yeah, I feel like in general, the editing of this season has been pretty lackluster. And I think part of it might be having been spoiled on who's on 50. It kind of feels like you know where the story is going already. But I also feel like you should be able to watch an episode or a season knowing who wins and still enjoy it. And that really isn't the case here.
Yeah, besides tribal council was fun, but even then I was like, okay, the edit is showing us that Savannah and Rizzo are making their underdog comeback. I really felt like they weren't going to get eliminated here. And last week, when we were all speculating that Soph might use the knowledge's power and steal the idol from Christina, and then that didn't happen, I was like, okay, my expectations were a little bit too high, maybe, for the episode.
Yeah, you expected something interesting and fun to happen. And then when what happened wasn't interesting or fun, it's kind of like, well, the version in my head was better.
Yeah, the version in our head was better. That would like be such fan fiction that if she did steal the idol, but
Right?
alas, that didn't happen. So we s- we start off this episode where Christina is saying that she wants to quit the season. It like, okay, you were just left out of the vote last time, so it makes sense you're going through a rough patch, but I feel like to me watching this, it came off very negative. Like you were left out of one vote and now you say you want to quit. Like Soph and Alex went to so many tribals pre-merge and then we never saw any of that from them. We see Savannah and Rizzo on the bottom for the last three vote outs and we haven't heard them say that yet.
I do feel like it's possible that they were thinking it, but they just decided not to say it. And, or maybe they even did say it, but like they decided not to air it for whatever reason. I feel like Christina's edit, not to keep going in on the editors, but I feel like Christina's edit has also been like kind of negative, where I feel like we never really see her unless she's like acting poorly or like otherwise not doing well. And so it does make me wonder a little bit, like what's going on with Christina's edit. So
Yeah, her edit is like her fainting at the challenge, her not being able to do the balance beam, her breaking the hammock is pretty wild. But like compared to Rizzo, I feel like this episode, Rizzo was like always smiling, even when he was crying about doing poor in the challenge. Later on at Tribal Council, he's like, this is fun. Like it seems like he's having fun out there. And I feel like watching that is fun for me as a viewer because it's like, okay, he's not taking it too seriously. Like he cares about the game, but he also realizes like this is TV, this is fun. I'm going to try to make moves. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
yeah, I think it can also just be hard. Some people are more naturally predisposed to being positive or being negative, and so I feel like Survivor can also like pull out the best and worst in people. Like if you're someone who's already like dispositionally pretty positive, I feel like that's not that hard. But if you're someone who like already struggles with negative thinking patterns, I feel like not having a lot of food, not having a lot of sleep, being on the bottom of the vote is rough. So I totally get it, and I get why Christina might have been thinking this way. And ultimately, like she didn't. quit. So I feel like that's a plus.
That's true. I feel like it's also good that she only confided in Steven about it, and it seems like they're close and they've been together on Yellow. So it seems like they're close and friendly and now working together, but maybe working together out of circumstance rather than choice. But I think it is good that she only brought it up with him because if it's like a rumor going around camp that this person wants to quit or has been telling people that, I feel like that makes it more so that people would want to drag you to the end as an easy win because you're like, yeah, no one's going to give you $1 million. You have been like so negative and said you want to quit multiple times. So then I would take that person to the end. Don't let them leave.
Or I feel like it's also possible that you could just like be like, okay, well, I actually want to be here. So and so doesn't vote out so and so instead. I think that probably would have worked better pre marriage than now. But I feel like that's still something that you could talk about.
Definitely. So, speaking of Christina, we also see Sage tell Jawan that Steven told her that Christina has the idol. A long-winded way of saying that. But now we know. This is what we were thinking last week. Like, okay, someone's got to spill the beans. So maybe Soph could steal Christina's idol. But as we know, that didn't happen. But the information was out there that Christina has an idol. People are talking about it. Juwan then goes to fact check Steven about it, trying to lure the idol information out. But Steven doesn't say anything about it. And now Jawan knows that in the bottoms up alliance of him, Steven, and Sage, that maybe he's on the bottom of that. Steven is blatantly lying to his face compared to Steven telling Sage the information.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Joanne because it feels like he ends up on the bottom a lot. And it does kind of make me wonder like what about Joanne is untrustworthy or what about him makes people like want to keep things from him? Because he seems like a pretty great guy. Like Christina gave up her reward for him. So it doesn't quite compute.
I feel like when Jawan fact checks Steven and Steven doesn't share the idol information, I feel like Jawan should have ran back to Rizzo and told Rizzo about what Sage said. I feel like that would have prevented Jawan from getting voted out this episode because if he proved himself to be more useful to Rizzo and Savannah, maybe like they would want to keep him around more, sort of like Yellow Sophie spilling the beans to Rizzo and Savannah. She's now gotten herself semi into that group. Whereas they're calling Jawan and Sage the flip floppers this episode. If Jawan spilled that information, maybe that would have saved him tonight.
Maybe, but I also feel like it could have gotten him in kind of deeper trouble. So I feel like Joanne has kind of never really been great winner potential. Just like even from the edit, you can kind of tell, like, okay, we're not meant to really like or care about this guy. So I don't know. It kind of seemed like he never had a path forward.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this Yellow Sophie playbook, it was like, okay, become disliked by everyone. Then Rizzo wants to keep you around because why would I do everyone else's dirty work? Jawan, if he became disliked more by people, then Rizzo would be like, yeah, if everyone already wants Jawan out because he's spilling the beans, maybe we keep him around.
Yeah, and then easy goat, but then kind of the question of are you playing for third place or are you playing to win? So
So we get to the reward challenge. Before the challenge, Christina breaks down on the mat chat. She's talking about her mom. I feel like this was a very nice moment for Christina, and I really like feel bad for her going through all of this.
yeah, it's one of those things where, like we said, Christina's edit hasn't been the best, but I feel like this was kind of a positive, not even a positive note in her edit, but it was something that I feel like humanized her a little bit more.
Yeah, I wonder if the other people out there knew about her mom. It seems like Steven knew or knows, but like if you didn't know and she starts breaking down or you're standing there like wondering what's happening, like us as the audience know that her mom has passed away, but I do wonder if the other people there knew.
Yeah, I feel like probably some of her allies knew, but it's one of those things where I feel like so many people hide things that look like a sob story because they don't want to get voted out for being like a jury threat for having a sob story. But then I'm like, you all kind of have sob stories actually. So
Yeah, because if you're standing there and like she's crying and you're like, okay, I don't really know what this means. Like if you didn't know what like the backstory behind it, it's like, okay, this is just sort of weird. What's happening?
yeah,
So that'd be a question I want to know because yeah, if you kept that a secret, then yeah, people would be like, what is happening?
yeah. God bless them.
So for the reward challenge, it is a water obstacle course. You have to go over balance beams. You do some swinging baskets to get the hoops in at the end. And then you win a trip to the sanctuary where you're winning a picnic food reward. There's two teams. We got Team Blue, which is Blue Sophie, Yellow Sophie, Sage, and Steven. Team Yellow is Joanne, Christina, Rizzo, and Savannah. We see Rizzo first struggling on the balance beam. And then we also see Christina struggling on the balance beam. However, I feel like with the Christina balance beam scene, it just felt so like forced. I did not like that one.
Yeah, I felt like the Christina balance beam scene kind of reminded me of when Jeff was yelling at Sari, and I forget which of her seasons it was, where he was like making a whole big thing out of like she got off the couch to make it. Like I was like, that was kind of the feeling I had.
I agree. It felt like he was trying to replicate the Suri balance beam moment again. Like that's why it just felt so forced compared to Rizzo being sad about flopping on the balance beam after the challenge. Like that felt less forced compared to Jeff like saying all these things. And it's like not forced when Christina's talking about how proud she is about completing the challenge in the confessionals. It's just like Jeff screaming there. It just felt so weird.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like we've talked about this, but in general, I feel like when Jeff tries to make moments, that's when he gets in his own way as opposed to letting the moments happen naturally.
So Team Blue, they win the reward. They had all their people could do the balance beams and they win. And then we get to like the more sort of like boring, weird stuff of the episode. In one of the commercial ads, Jeff does a British accent to tell us to apply for Survivor, which I was like, that was weird.
Yeah. In general, I feel like having the apply for Survivor ads so often is kind of weird because I'm like, everyone knows that you can apply to be on Survivor. Like, you don't need to remind us every week. You're not going to like convince us by like watching someone cry and want to quit because of their dead mom. So,
And why the British accent? And that's what this wasn't
are they
even
trying to
connected.
recruit people outside of the US? Because, like, we just started allowing Canadians. Let's be so for real.
Yeah. And then we also get the boy band, three boys on a bench. And then we also get Juwan fishing. I was like, there's nothing else that you can show? What are all these filler segments?
Yeah. Again, I feel like that's part of, not to keep going in on the edit. I feel like everything out of my mouth is just like the edit sucks. But I feel like, again, if you're going to have these longer episodes, at least have stuff to fill it. And I feel like there's been so much stuff that we're like, wait, what? That was a thing? And so I feel like there's going to be something later this season where we're like, oh, I wish this had been explained a little bit better. And you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like we already had questions at the start of this episode of like, okay, how does Jawan feel about now knowing that he's on the bottom of his bottoms up alliance? Like, did other people know about Christina's family? We got questions.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions.
So then another like thing that didn't need to happen was the rice negotiation. Because like, what was the point of Jeff offering the rice, saying he's willing to negotiate? Jawan says stuff. Jeff says no. And then he's like, guys, actually, don't waffle now. You all came to play the game. No one take this rice. Everyone has to play.
Yeah, it feels like they want like another dramatic moment out of the negotiations because like the negotiations have been like interesting and cool before. But like Again, when you try to force it, that's when it starts getting like be so for real. And so I feel like they just need to stop forcing it. And if people are like, no, we don't want to do it, or if people are like, hey, this is my offer, having it be like, actually impactful. I feel like Jeff is sometimes a little bit too much of a hard ass when it comes to those offers and just needs to be like, you know, not willing to give them something for nothing, but like negotiation is compromise.
Yeah, he's like, okay, a negotiation, I can say no. I mean, okay, true. But then it's not really that fun because he shut it down so quick when they wanted to make some offers and maybe consider sitting out of the challenge. Like, what was the point of even offering the rice? And then you turned it around and said, no one's allowed to sit out. You all came here to play. Like, there's no point to it then.
Yeah, it seems kind of like the messaging is inconsistent. So, yeah.
Like, maybe it'd be more interesting. Race negotiations aren't a thing, but maybe if contestants are hungry, they can ask you to do a rice negotiation or something like that. Maybe that would be interesting or like less forced. But I do feel like if you do offer it, you can't just say no for the first offer.
Yeah. What's even the point then?
Exactly. There like is no point. I was like, this is a waste of like 3 minutes on the show again.
Yeah. No.
So no rice happenings. The immunity challenge. You had to go through a teeter tunnel, go through obstacles, and then do a logo puzzle. I thought the tunnel visual was cool looking. Like those are so big looking in real life, but actually going through that tunnel looked very scary. Like people were flopping out of the bottom of it.
In general, I feel like in Survivor, I'm scared of anything where I cannot see my whole body at the same time. Cause then that's when you're gonna like get your like leg caught or when you're gonna get like a concussion or something.
I feel like
I'm not
any
gonna
of
do
these like large obstacles that involve rope and like nets, because when you have to like run across nets or slide down nets, I'm like, this is where you break your ankle.
Oh yeah, this is where you're gonna get really hurt.
Yeah, so Survivor really likes that giving birth metaphor. To me, watching the people come out of the teeter tunnels was like reminding me of being birthed into Survivor, just without the mud. Next time they'll add mud to this.
Yeah, I don't think we need that metaphor to be quite honest. So I'm kind of over it.
I thought it was funny. This challenge had balance beams like the reward challenge. Christina and Rizzo were the last two to finish the balance beam portion.
Honestly, mood.
So we got Yellow Sophie, Steven, and Savannah vying for the top three spots in the puzzle in order to win it for themselves. Yellow Sophie was really quick at the puzzle and wins it. I was like, good for her. She's good at different kinds of challenges. Like we've seen her win endurance, be very good at endurance, and now win an obstacle course puzzle. So that bodes very well for her future.
That does bode very well for her future. I think we've also kind of talked about not wanting to be a one-hit wonder on puzzles and or not on puzzles, on challenges, where being able to do like more than just endurance challenges is really important because not every challenge is going to be an endurance challenge.
Exactly. So very good for Yellow Sophie here. Going back to camp, we see Sage's plan is to want to vote Savannah out. As we've seen, every single time Sage talks, it is how much she does not like Savannah and wants to vote Savannah out. So Sage, Steven, Christina, and Jawan are all on board. However, that is only four people and it is an eight-person tribe. So it seems like right now Yellow Sophie is in the middle. Like, does she go with the other four or does she go with the three, the Rizzo Savannah group? But then I was thinking, is she really in the middle? I guess maybe, but maybe not because Savannah has the extra vote. Like, if Savannah didn't have an extra vote, it's four versus three with Sophie being able to decide. But like, if in that case, it makes no sense to go with the Rizzo three. So then it would be four versus four, unless you wanted to go to rocks for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone wants to go to Rocks. I will say, I thought it was really funny that as soon as Shannon got out, Sage turned her haterism to someone else. Like, she really was just born to be a hater, and I love that for her.
That's what we said when Shannon got voted out. We were like, Sage has got to find another nemesis. Although now it seems like it's like a one-sided nemesis.
I mean, it was a one sided nemesis before, too.
That's true. Yeah, Shannon liked Sage.
But
So
yeah, it was confusing.
I thought it was also interesting how we heard from Yellow Sophie twice this episode that like about being a millionaire and or becoming a millionaire. So I was like, okay, this is very interesting. She got two confessionals talking about how rich she is going to be.
Yeah. In general, dare I say, the edit on Yellow Sophie is confusing me. Because she was so invisible for the first half, and now she's like genuinely a winner contender. And I'm like, what happened? What's going on?
I agree. It is sort of confusing because going into the merge, we were like, yeah, Yellow Sophie and Christina are probably the first two people voted out because we know nothing about them. Now, like,
And both
Christina
of
could
them are
make it
still
to final
here.
three. Yeah. And I'm like, Yellow Sophie could have winner potential. Christina could make it to final three. It's like, what the? We know nothing.
Yeah, we know nothing. Maybe it'll all make sense when we know who the winner is.
Yeah. So Rizzo and Savannah's group, they want to vote Steven out. They think that Sage and Jawan are on board, but Yellow Sophie tells them that Sage and Jawan are actually flipping, which then Yellow Sophie says that she wants to keep Savannah around as a meat shield, which I think does make sense for now because both of them are like good women at challenges. Like, okay, sure, you can say Steven's good at challenges, but I think if you kept the person there that is like most similar to you, that's probably a better meat shield. As long as you're the person that can win out more than the other. Right now, Savannah's at two, Sophie's at two. Like, you wouldn't want to keep a meat shield that like beats you 10-1 every single time.
No, no, you would not. You want to have someone who is somewhat competitive, but not someone who's going to dominate you.
I agree. And I think like both being good women at challenges is a good comparison. And so they're like, yeah, Steven's good at challenges, but we still want to vote him out. He's not our meat shield. And I do think you have to be careful that you don't let that good challenge competitor continue too far. Maybe you try to vote them out at like six or even that you might be like seven next week because you don't want them to accidentally go on an immunity run at the end and you can never beat them out again.
You do have to be careful though, because you don't want to then become the next person who gets voted out because you're too good at challenges.
Exactly, which I think that seems to be Sophie's reasoning about wanting to keep Savannah around because I do think here at eight it is too early. Because say they vote Savannah out this time, then now, who should we vote out? Maybe you try for Rizzo again, or it's like, Yellow Sophie didn't win the challenge. She's won too. Let's try to vote her out now.
Yeah.
So we also see Rizzo cut the beads off of the torches in the background of a scene. I thought this was interesting and then good foreshadowing for what happened later at Tribal.
Yeah. I will say I've seen a lot of former players complain about idols and how idols have become easier and easier to fake because they look more and more just like random objects. And I feel like the fact that, yeah. What do you think about that?
To me, that seems like the direction that Survivor wanted to go in. Like they want the idols to be, I guess, just beads or like as easy to replicate as possible, so then people can create fake idols like this easily.
Yeah. But then it's kind of like, do you really want someone to not be able to tell a fake idol is a fake, or do you want them to be able to be like, okay, this might be real, this might be fake? Because I feel like making idols too simple and too easy to fake is kind of like You want the immunity or the hidden immunity idol to be something that people are still able to work around. And I think because like people are always blabbing about it, and I think that fake idols can sometimes make it harder to work around.
Maybe they need to start adding a mix of like unique idols and easy to replicate idols. So it's like, okay, this is a unique one, and we know that's maybe more real compared to a bead idol, but there's both out there potentially.
Yeah, I think that would work. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, so I thought the end of this episode was funny here because both sides are trying to bamboozle each other. Like, it's funny to watch because everyone on each side is just so giddy when they're like talking to each other because they think they're getting one up on the other person. So I was like, oh, this is funny because we know that one of these groups is going to be wrong.
Yeah, I think part of what made it funny is the fact that they were both so certain about the fact that they were bamboozling each other. Like, I feel like there wasn't a lot of attention to paid to like, oh, what if we're wrong?
Yeah, like Christina's plan to throw a vote on Rizzo is smart. Like, if they actually had the numbers there, like, that is a great plan. Because if she thinks the numbers 5 versus 3, you can easily throw a vote on Rizzo, make it 4-3-1. If Rizzo played the idol on Savannah, 4 of Savannah's votes gets negated. She wanted to play the idol for Steven. The 3 Steven votes get negated. Then there's only one left on Rizzo. The problems are Yellow Sophie isn't with them, so it's like a 5-3-1, which ends up being the final vote because of the extra vote. And maybe you need to big brain it more that maybe they would switch the vote off of Steven if like people caught wind that Christina had the idol, that then it makes it harder who to play the idol for, but also like then you play the idol for someone that they switch the votes off of.
Yeah. Again, I feel like sometimes it feels like they don't show us someone's contingency plan because there's extra stuff going on, or they make someone's contingency plan out to be silly because there's information that they don't have. Like Christina wanting to throw a vote on Rizzo is smart, but then if you're like, oh, knowing that they don't have Yellow Sophie, that's a dumb plan. But it's like, how would Christina know that?
Yeah, exactly. Like with Christina's information that she had, she thinks Yellow Sophie's with them. I'm like, okay, this is a smart plan. Similarly, like Savannah technically didn't need to use her extra vote, but like, how would she know that Christina's splitting the vote that then you don't need to use the extra vote? So it's like, okay, people are making smart-ish moves based on the information that they had. Maybe the only thing you fault the Christina Steven team is that maybe thinking that the idols not shouldn't be played for Steven because the people would think that maybe he's getting the idol played on him, so they switch their votes, something like that. But then that's like so hard.
Yeah, and like maybe you can make the argument of like, oh, if they were a better social player, they would have all of this information and then they wouldn't need. But it's like, no one is perfect. No one is going to have 100% of the information.
Yeah, and even if you say technically Savannah didn't need the extra vote, playing the extra vote here sort of ensures that her team has like the upper hand and has the 5 to send someone home. So
Yeah,
technically you didn't need it, but like that's sort of like an insurance policy that your way happens.
exactly. And insurance is always good on Survivor.
Yeah, so we also see Savannah ask Christina point blank who Christina is voting for, and then Christina just like shuts down and gets so flustered. She didn't even have an answer. I was like, oh no, you just gotta say Steven there, right? Like you just lie.
Yeah, just lie. But I can get why you might like feel weird about lying, or like I feel like if I were Christina, I wouldn't say Steven because it would be obvious that I'm not voting for Steven because I'm so close with Steven, but then yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a lose-lose because you basically have to say Steven here because you can't say anyone else. Because it's like Yellow Sophie's immune, and maybe you would say Yellow Sophie, but if you said Rizzo or Blue Sophie, then Savannah would probably be mad at you. So we gotta say Joanne or Sage then.
Yeah. Maybe just say Sage.
Yeah, or like Savannah, who are you voting for? And then she could be like, no, I asked you first. And then he
I
said, no,
mean,
I just asked you.
I mean, you could also just be like, Savannah, who are you voting for? I'll vote for whoever you want me to. And that could be something.
Yeah. Like, don't really answer the question and throw it back on the person asking.
Yes, exactly.
So, because the idol information is floating around now, we see Soph and Savannah saying, let's put down Sage or Jawan's name as the flip-floppers. They're like, let's let Yellow Sophie decide so that she feels more included and then wants to vote with us. I thought that was very, very smart in order to let her pick because they need her number. They need 5 people or 4 guess they need the numbers in order to have their way happen. They need her as the fourth, so they have 5 votes with Savannah's extra vote. Like, you have to make her feel like she's ingratiated in your little trio, and by letting her sort of pick who goes is a good way to have her vote with you.
Especially if it is like you honestly don't care, like who goes, or if you're like, I'm okay with any of these like 3 options, then maybe you also ask her and then you kind of nudge her towards whatever you want. Where if it's not an acceptable answer, you can kind of figure out how to make it an acceptable answer, so to speak.
True. Although I do feel like for Savannah and Rizzo, they probably should have voted Sage out because Sage seems to very dislike Savannah compared to Jawan seems like willing to work with Rizzo. He's talking with Rizzo a lot. It seems like Sage has relationships with both of the Sophies, so the Sophies could flip on Savannah and Rizzo next week if they wanted. To me, it seems like because Savannah and Rizzo don't have that relationship with Sage, and it's probably irreparable, like keeping Joanne around would have been better for them.
Yeah. It's also possible they didn't realize how deep Sage's hatred of Savannah is, because I feel like Shannon didn't realize that Sage didn't like her until she was voted out. Maybe Savannah's like also equally in the dark.
That's true. So I feel like that part will be interesting next week. It's like, okay, I feel like now the middle is like the two Sophies since Savannah and Rizzo are probably very much on one side, and then Sage, Christina, and Steven are probably very much on the other. And with 7 people left, okay, you need 4 to win the day. So Yellow Sophie could be in the middle again, or Yellow and Blue if they decide to swing back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like the center Sophie is will be interesting to see.
Yeah, so at Tribal Council, we see Yellow Sophie's final words to Jawan when she's in the voting confessional. At the time, we don't know who she's voting for, but she says, I learned how big of a strategic threat you are today and would never be able to beat you in final Tribal Council. So I was like, huh, maybe she's talking about Savannah, but she was talking about Jawan. So I have like, why did she say that? What about Jawan makes him so threatening now? And like, why did this group pick Jawan over Sage?
And again, that's something where we had so much time that felt like filler.
Yeah, cut out the boy band. Give us this information. Why did the group pick Jawan over Sage?
I guess we're never gonna know unless they tell us next week. Excuse me.
Hopefully. So
Hopefully.
we see Christina play the idol for Steven. That is the shocked reaction that we saw in the preview last week from the jury, not the knowledge is power being used successfully. It was Christina playing the idol for Steven.
Lame.
I was like, maybe Blue Sophie should have played the knowledge is power and stolen the idol, unless she's like truly banking as her big move to steal Rizzo's idol and then vote him out using the idol. Like that maybe could secure you $1 million. Or like maybe Christina's too nice and you don't want to steal her idol because you don't want to be mean to her. And maybe you think the knowledge is power is actually a disadvantage because maybe you offend someone. Like if you stole her idol, idol from Christina, maybe she hates you so much and will never vote for you at the end. Like she gets so offended over it. So I was like, it just seems bad for Blue Sophie to continue to hold on to this if she does intend to play it not on Rizzo, because the chances of knowing who has the next idol continues to go down as there's less people.
Yeah, it's kind of like that steal reward um like thing that they had a couple seasons ago where it's like there's no way to play this well. Where maybe depending on like your theory on jury management, maybe it is best just not to play it.
Maybe, because I'm like, maybe there's no more idols being hidden, and now you like knew of two idols this episode. You could have stolen one, or maybe you really are just banking on taking Rizzo's idol later to have a flashy move at the jury. Because maybe Rizzo won't be offended, but I feel like some people would truly be really offended if you took their idol when they needed it, and then they got voted out.
Yeah, I think some people would definitely be a little butthurt.
Yeah, I would. Maybe that's what you got to tell everyone. Like, if you stole this with knowledge is power, I will never vote for you.
That's a little extra, but
You got to scare them off.
if it works, I guess.
So we also see Rizzo play a fake idol, like Rachel playing the shot in the dark in order to gauge reactions. I thought this was very smart from Rizzo in order for him to see Yellow Sophie's reaction, because basically you just need to know, was Yellow Sophie on my side or not? Did we have the actual votes or not? Because if Yellow Sophie wasn't on your side here, like if she gave a really shocked reaction to Rizzo playing the idol for Savannah, like she was trying to double cross you, bamboozle you, then Rizzo would know that he would need to play the real idol for Savannah.
Yeah, which I think also really great, but also kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Dramatic. I'm kind of like, dude, do we really need to be doing this? Which I guess part of it is knowing that Savannah was safe. It was kind of like, this is just so much. That's so extra.
To me, it seems like Rizzo's really playing it up as a jury management strategy, like playing the fake idol. You get all of the reactions from everyone still in the game. You get all of the reactions from the jury. People are maybe now wondering, like, is his idol real or has he been lying this entire time? Like, you've caused confusion among people. Like, some people know that the idol is real, but maybe it's going to trick others like Steven and Christina into thinking that he's been lying this entire time. And also, I feel like the showmanship that Rizzo does at Tribal, it seems like a very pandering to the jury. So it'll be interesting to see if that like helps him or hurts him later on.
I also think there's a lot of divide among fans about Rizzo, where some people are like, oh my God, this guy's the best dude ever. And some people are like, oh my God, get him off my screen. One of my coworkers absolutely hates Rizzo. Every time we chat about Survivor, she's like, I want him gone. So I feel like that's also something about Rizzo's gameplay that I find interesting.
Yeah, and I also think it was interesting, like when Jawan gets voted out, Rizzo's the first person to like stand up and like hug Jawan. It seems like very much like, okay, trying to take the credit for the move, like, I played a fake idol and now Jawan, like, this was my doing, sorry, like, bye bye. But really, it's like, Savannah should be trying to take credit because it was her extra vote that made this a 5-4 and not a like 4-4 tie.
I mean, it's whoever can take the credit the best kind of goes to like final tribal jury management thing where if you can make someone think a move was yours when it wasn't, like go for it.
Yeah, that's why I feel like the Rizzo showmanship at the tribal councils, I don't know, I thought it was pretty good. I'm like, he took some credit here and he had a flashy fake idol play. Like, that's fun for the jury to see.
Yeah. I think it will be fun for the jury, but then also how does he spin it to them if he gets to final tribal?
And Savannah did have some showmanship too. When she starts to get votes there, she's like, to Jawan, like, did you do this, Jawan? And then Jawan is like thinking he's got one up on her and said, yeah. But then Jawan starts getting votes and then his face drops. I'm like, I want to know Jawan's thought process in these 30 seconds because he's probably like so happy, like, yay, I got one over on Savannah. And then it's like, oh no, I have four votes getting voted out. Like, this is terrible.
I bet that his thoughts were like, oh, and then a series of expletives.
Yeah, so I thought that whole like 30 seconds there was really funny. And then Jawan accidentally takes Rizzo's torch and gets his torch snuffed. So it seems like Jawan taking Savannah's stuff at the start of the season, that was just Jawan.
Yeah, poor Jawan.
So the jury realized that there's an extra vote happening. They were whispering about it. So it seems like they're very impressed with this side that pulls one over on Jawan.
Yeah, I think they are too. I also think it will be interesting to see everyone else's reactions to realizing there's an extra vote because I feel like if the jury realized it, everyone else must realize it too.
Yeah, you hopefully should. Considering an 8-person tribal council, I feel like it's easy to do the math. Sometimes with odd numbers, maybe that's a little bit more hard.
Yeah. But I'm sure it also gave the jury something interesting to talk about when they went back to Pondy. Let's all pour one out for Ponderosa videos.
So, yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this episode. Did you think it was fun or maybe a little bit boring with a lot of filler information? What did you think of the rice negotiations? Should they continue having the negotiations or not? And what did you think of Tribal Council? Once again, tried to take out Rizzo's idol and have failed. And Rizzo and Savannah are still there. So the plans are just never working. Let us
No,
know in the comments down below, and we will see you all next week. Bye.